and Philadelphia has it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to DSM pregame live streaming here exclusively on DSM Media's YouTube channel. Guys, first and foremost, if you are new to the channel, make sure to check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. And while you're over on the Twitter page, make sure to check out the link tree. It's in our bio. It will take you to every social media platform. We are available on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that good stuff. But if you guys want to be interactive over here throughout all of our shows, all of our pregame lives, make sure to check out the link that sends you to the YouTube channel specifically. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and like I said, this is the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up on the screen here with us. As always, I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. To my left, my co-host today, Scotty. You can find him on Twitter at Scotty Drown. Happy Saturday, my man. And this playoff run gets to start and lead off the NBA playoffs today. Sixers, Nets, game one of round one preview here. How are you feeling heading into it?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling optimistic. I saw this tweet from NBA Slime. I don't know if you follow him on Twitter.
I think so.
He's got Adam Sandler.
Yeah, it's the Uncut Gems
Uncut
picture.
Gems photo. Yeah. Bro, he put out this this picture, and it's Kareem Benzema. It's just like a meme, but it basically says 99% faith, 1% chance, and he said that's the Sixers playoff run this postseason, and I feel it because literally, if you ask me, like the top three teams in the NBA are the Bucks, the Celtics, and the 76ers, in my personal opinion right now. And they have both of them in their way from the NBA Finals, from an NBA championship. So I thought that was funny as hell, but it's a lot more than 1%. I will say that as well.
Let me ask you this. Now, clearly the tweet is hilarious because it's mostly true, I would say, at this point, because the Sixers have not gotten past the second round in the Joel Embiid era. So we're used to early exits in the postseason and never being to an Eastern Conference Finals or beyond. But I would beg the question to you. I get the Boston thing, right? Yeah. Lost 3 of 4. The last one, we know how that played out with that sloppy ending. Joel had to score over half the team's points just to beat them by 2 at home, missing Jaylen Brown and Robert Williams. Like I get the Boston fear a little bit, but when you talk about the best teams in the NBA, do you think we're just that way because we're like conditioned to be somewhat negative? Go back to early December, the game after James Harden returned from injury, they lose to the Rockets. After that, the Sixers had the best record in the NBA. They have played the best basketball across the NBA since like December 5th or whenever it was. And we all talked about how daunting their second half schedule was and how they really handled that outside of a 3-game stretch or so. So like, do you think it's just the way like we've grown up on this team, that the trauma over the past couple of seasons that are like this? Or do you think like there's more reason to not believe in them?
Let me see here. Let me just say what's up to Rio.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
I appreciate all y'all checking in. Yeah, that's right, Chile. Let's fucking go. No, I think you're spot on. I think it's just what we've experienced over the last few years and the doubts that come with a Sixers postseason run. The feeling of something always happens. I think that's something bad always happens throughout the playoffs or throughout the Sixers playoff run, whether it's Embiid getting injured or Ben Simmons having a mental breakdown
or a 3 bouncer off the rim at the buzzer of game 7
after he travels. Like, I mean, everything that can go wrong seems to go wrong during a playoff run because Dylan, I'll tell you this right now. Last postseason in the first round, when we go up on the Toronto Raptors and we're about to close that series out, it's, the closeout game. I'm feeling as confident as ever. I wasn't thinking like, oh, we're about to go beat the Raptors and then lose in the second round to the Miami Heat. I was looking at the Miami Heat like dog food. That's how I was looking at them. And then Embiid has his face broken by Pascal Siakam at the end
already
of the
had the
closeout
meniscus
game.
Problem.
All on top of the meniscus problem. And then we get to the second round, and that's the product we get. You know what I mean? It was what it was, but I think that's where the doubt comes from.
Absolutely.
And you've seen Boston get to the finals. You've seen Milwaukee Bucks win the championship. So I guess when you look at those teams, you're like, how can we favor the Sixers over them? But
for sure, favor for sure, and they're not going to be favorites in either of those series. I only bring that point up because you and I on these pregame lives and on other podcasts here have discussed and talked about people like enjoying this season and enjoying this run because this team is legit.
Yeah.
So I do have this trouble of where do I put the Sixers in terms of legitimate championship contenders? Do I put them on an even playing field heading in with Milwaukee and Boston? Or are they on that tier of their own, like I mentioned to you the other day, where it's Milwaukee, Boston, a slight decline to Philly by themselves, and then a decline to the Knicks and the Cavs and everybody else? Because, listen, Donovan Mitchell, I get the Cavs. The Knicks had a good season. Don't you dare insult the 76ers and try to act like they're on the same tier with those two teams. If you don't think they're with Boston and the Bucks, that's fine. I can hear your argument and we can go back and forth on it. But they are definitely not on the same tier in terms of championship contention with the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat and the Atlanta Hawks and so on and so forth. But let me hit on this, dude. Let me ask you this as we get into game one, because Tobias, we mentioned we debated on him being on our best bet slip. Yeah. And I guess we just didn't have the confidence in him or in that play right now to give that to you guys in game one. So spoiler, he is not one of our three best bets today, but I need Tobias to show me something this series. I'm damn near over the guy. And Scotty and I think we almost talked about Tobias Harris more than anybody this week while previewing this series. More than Joel Embiid, more than James Harden, damn sure more than Tyrese Maxey, and that's because he's such an unknown, man. So let's get into this game a little bit today. How important for this game specifically and moving forward in round one is Tobias Harris?
Yeah, I think he's I think it's what I would say. I don't know how important to this series he is. Sure. But I know how important this series is to Tobias Harris because he has to make sure he starts off the playoffs in a good manner and confidently. And I think that's the big thing here for all of these players. This is I don't want to call it like a warm-up. It's not like that. I'm not trying to disrespect the Nets. It's the time to fix your issues right now, right? You get a little bit of extra time to fix your problems. So with that being said, Tobias Harris, he needs to come out confidently today. You could argue, Dylan, he's not better than Mikal Bridges, but he's better than everybody else on their team, right? Like, he would be the second best player on their roster, and he would be fairly close to Mikal. I'm not saying he's Mikal Bridges. I'm just saying skill level. But he needs to come out here and play with confidence. It wouldn't make sense for him to come out here and be gun shy. But to your point, we looked at the 13.5 points, the over on that. It was at plus money. And it's just like, man, but is he going to get you 14 points? And I think that speaks to where we're at with Tobias right now. Because if you asked me that last year, I'd have been like, yeah, Tobias will get you 15, 16, 17, 18 points. Like it's nothing. But now it's like we're grasping at air for trying to get, 14 points out of him. If it was at 11.5, I'd probably be more inclined to lay it, I think. But yeah, I think his props are looking good. Like in reality, like
they're plus juice right now too, dude.
Yeah, it's all plus juice. So it's like his props are good plus money, but it's just too risky right now to start the series. So I don't know. Where are you at with Tobias right now, man?
And by the way, we got you in just a few minutes with our best bets for the day.
Yeah.
For this one. So stay tapped in for the best bet segment later on. But with Tobias, man, like, look, we talking about it with Kai Carlin the other day. The NBA and sports in general are a what have you done for me lately business, and recency bias plays a role. Look at the MVP award. Look how much recency bias plays a factor in not only this year with Joel potentially winning it, but in previous years with him missing time at the end of the year and losing it, right? Like we don't even care about what he did in January to Jokic anymore. It's all about Jokic didn't play and Joel Embiid dropped 54, right? Like that, like a week ago. Like that's all anybody cares about. So when I go back and look at this Tobias Harris season, it's very confusing to me, man, because he averaged 15 on 40% from three and 50% from the field with 6 rebounds per, with a steal per game, with
a good season,
3 or 4 assists. He had a good year. And there was moments in the middle of the season where we looked at him when he was knocking down threes at that high clip, and we talked about how he's finally fitting into that role. But what have you done for me now or recently? Tobias Harris has hit a big decline. And we mentioned it, the Boston and the Bucks game in the last week of the season. 4 points and 5 points or whatever, 4 points and 3 points, whatever he had. Like, that's the Tobias Harris you cannot afford to see. The Tobias Harris that comes out aggressive in the first half and scores 11 on efficient shooting and then gets 1 bucket in the second half. That can't happen.
Yeah.
So where I'm at with Tobias Harris, in terms of confidence, I can't lie and say that I have a ton, but I do think there's reason throughout this past season to be patient maybe in the postseason with them and hold out that hope and that faith that you mentioned, that 90%, that 99%, that Tobias Harris could be an X factor and turn this thing around, man. But he's polarizing right now for this team.
It is. It's polarizing because I think there's one end of the scale where there's people that are just done with Tobias.
Yeah,
don't want to
and those people have been done with Tobias. By the way, before this season.
And then you have the other side of things where there's people calling Tobias Harris the X factor of the postseason, right? Like I saw Brian Toporak. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, Brian. He actually put out an article for Forbes Sports that he thinks that Tobias Harris is going to be the Sixers' biggest X factor this postseason. So I thought that was interesting. I gave it a read and it makes good points. I mean, if Tobias Harris shows up,
it makes perfect sense.
He would literally be the biggest X factor. I guess it's just to the point where we just don't know if that's going to happen. So I pick a different X factor. You know what I mean? Like that's how it works in my head.
Because if Tobias Harris is 15 point per night, Tobias Harris, there is not a team in this conference. There is not a team in the association with a better fourth option than Tobias Harris when he's that guy.
Yeah.
There's also teams with a ton of better bench options than Tobias Harris when he's scoring 6 points per night on bad 3-point shooting. I think this is a great point, man.
Sorry, I might have just.
Oh, no, there you go. There you go. I think like that's that role, right? Doc with Harden, with Embiid, with Maxey, and all their ball handling responsibilities and how much ISO they're going to play and shots they're going to take. Tobias Harris has continued to play pretty good defense, so he's going to have to play a factor on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
And then that's his role now is shooting threes on the wing, in transition, in the corners. That's Tobias Harris's role. You take away the overthinking, you take away him dribbling the ball through the floor for 16 seconds. You take all of that away. That's Tobias Harris's new role. And if you play that at a high level this postseason run, the Sixers will be in good shape. But if he's not, then I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, man. Chile, you both hit it on the nail on the head, right? He just can't do the drip, like pounding the rock through the floor. Like it's so annoying at times. And like, don't pump fake when you're wide open at the 3-point line. There's nothing that like pisses me off more than when a Sixers player does that. All the way back to like Seth Curry, like just be confident in your shot and let it fly. And that goes
because you know what happens every time they do that? That ends up being the best look they're going to get on that possession.
Exactly. And then you dribble into 2 defenders and then pass it to Harden.
Kick out for a fadeaway over 2 bodies or a turnover. Like
never ends up well. It never ends well. So yeah, we need the main thing with Tobias, man, like you said, like Chili said, confidence. Let it fly. Don't think about it too much. Just go out there and play basketball, man. It's very simple. These guys get in their head too much.
Absolutely, man. And let's move on to our keys to victory, Scotty. And obviously these can change from night to night dependent on what the Sixers do well and don't do well in the previous game. But we can kind of spread these out throughout the series if we're pretty confident how this one's going to go. But I look at 2 things today. And if I'm being honest, both are on the defensive side of the floor. There is nothing offensively the Sixers are going to do to play themselves out of a game outside of an horrendous shooting night, which there's nothing you can really do. If shots aren't falling that specific day, there's nothing you're going to do at that point for Joel Embiid or James Harden or Tyrese Maxey, right? But defensively, I'm looking at two things, and they both have to do with the three ball for the Brooklyn Nets, because what do we always talk about? There's one way an inferior opponent or a lesser talented team can stick around a ball game and be pesky, and that is if they are unconscious from three, if you're giving them good looks, et cetera, et cetera. And they have guys that can do it, specifically post-trade deadline now. Okay. And Seth Curry killed us that one game from beyond the 3-point mark, and Spencer Dinwiddie and all these guys, right? I'm looking at two things. A, run them off the 3-point line. Make them scorers in a different way, if that makes sense. Make them put the ball on the floor and find a basket another way. And then also limit penetration in the paint, because that's going to open up the 3-point line when Joel Embiid has to come up to protect. Someone over helps, bang, corner three to somebody. So protect the paint to limit kickouts for the three and run them off the 3-point line. Make them put the ball on the floor and become isolation-esque type of players today.
Yeah, he's coming. He's coming, Chile. He's going to try. I don't know how effective, how much of a difference it can make, but we did see in January, man, he dropped 32.
Well, we also saw him try to kill the Atlanta Hawks in Game 7, and that wasn't good enough either. So
exactly. 7 for 10 from the 3-point line earlier this year, though. Yeah, he shoots well in Philly. I think that's what it is, man. I think he was just comfortable here, and he just shoots really well in the Wells Fargo Center. But no, I'm right on the same page with you. Actually, it's almost like we copied each other's notes. Because I have it written down here. It's my second key to victory, but it goes along with my first one. Guarding the 3-point line, like you said, the Nets shoot 37.8% from the 3-point line. That's 5th in the NBA. They make 12.8 threes per game. That's 9th in the NBA. And like you said, lesser teams stay in games with the 3-point line. It's as simple as that. They're going to try to spread the floor. And I specifically mentioned keeping Spencer Dinwiddie out of the lane, because I think he's the guy that's going to be getting into the lane, mixing his man up, getting into the paint, and then dishing it out for threes. Ultimately, Dinwiddie, he's leading the Nets with 9.1 assists per game, so he's going to be that playmaker. They don't have a lot of playmakers. That's the thing. Spencer Dinwiddie is that one guy. Mikal Bridges can do a little bit of playmaking. He's gotten better at it, but Spencer Dinwiddie is the orchestrator there. If they have one. So keeping him out of the lane is going to be crucial. Guarding the 3-point line, like you said, and then just controlling the controllables. And that goes along with the first thing you said. If the Sixers have a horrendous shooting night, okay, that's fine. Sometimes you can't control that. Like the shots just don't fall some nights or some Saturday afternoons.
Sure.
But nonetheless, control the controllables. That's rebounding, that's defense, that's turnovers, that's hustle. You can control all of those things yourself just by getting on the floor, digging in for loose balls, hitting the glass hard, not turning the ball over. That's going to be a huge thing here. Don't let this young team get out and run, get dunks, layups, open threes on fast break. We know how the Sixers have played in transition this year. So maybe that's a point in itself, keep them out of transition, but you do that by not turning the ball over. So I'm right on the same page as you as far as keys to victories. I'll throw my third one in there. Embiid dominate early. That's the thing for me. I don't know that Embiid's going to have to dominate this game the entire game or drop 50 points. He should not have to do that today. But dominate the game early. Get into the paint. You body up Nick Claxton. Get him into foul trouble like you do every time. And this isn't – we're not asking anything crazy of Embiid. He does this all the time. Just do what you do, Embiid. You're looking at Nick Claxton on the other side. He's 6'11" and 215 pounds. He can't guard Joel Embiid. And then you look at Day'Ron Sharpe. That's the only other center on the roster. Day'Ron Sharpe, 6'9". He's 265 pounds, but he's 6'9". He's undersized too. So it just doesn't matter. Embiid needs to go to work early. They'll bring those double teams, and then that's going to leave guys wide open from the 3-point lines. And they got to cash in at that point.
A quick dominant Joel Embiid start is a way to take Brooklyn's heart early. That's what it is. It leaves no doubt. Any game plan, any thought process they had on a way to limit or slow him down and throw different looks. A quick start, he races all that, and now they're scratching their oh boy. Here you go, guys. Just try your best. Try your best and see what happens, right?
Yep.
So a quick Embiid start is obviously key. And everything you mentioned, man, it's so funny. I'm going to relate this to our other DSM show. Or the other pregame show that we do for the Philadelphia Phillies here at DSM. Everything you mentioned and alluded to plays a part in fundamental stuff and just shows you how much better of a team the 76ers are than the Brooklyn Nets. And all that is ways not to allow them to hang around in the game.
Yeah.
Get back in transition. Protect the offensive glass. Protect the ball. Don't turn it over. Those are fundamental things where if you're the much more talented team and you don't do these things or you do these things well, Brooklyn's not going to have a chance to run with you. So same thing we talk about the Phillies. Stop the base running mistakes, right? Stop giving free passes out of the bullpen with walks. It's fundamental things. Throw strikes, right?
To your point, look at last night. They did that and they won
against the Cincinnati Reds, who are not as good as them. They win by 5 runs.
Like they're supposed to.
You get to the Sixers. Don't turn the ball over.
Yep.
Don't get killed on the offensive glass. Fundamental things. Don't get in early foul trouble. Fundamental things. So I think it all just shows how much better they are.
I think like the thing with the Nets today and the thing with Embiid, I don't want to see Nick Claxton like beating him to the boards and like getting putbacks and grabbing oops. Like that's the thing that I don't want to see today. I want to see them come
back
out
down the floor.
Life. Yeah, get back down the floor. Like I want to see them come out and play with that energy. Like they're excited to get to the postseason because just like Sixers fans this season, I feel like the Sixers have gotten to this point, Joel Embiid specifically, to where it's the regular season and it just is what it is night to night. Now, when they get the big matchups, they'll show up and they'll go hard as hell. But the give a fuck factor, shout out to Zach Noble, the give a fuck factor isn't there in the regular season for the Sixers in a sense. But then you get to the postseason, this should be the exciting time, right? What you've been waiting for all year. And now you get to come out and play your hardest. I just don't want to see Nick Claxton, beating Joel to the boards, blocking his shot. Like, I don't want to see any of that shit.
I'll tell you what I don't want to see one singular time in this series, in any series, but specifically against a lesser talented team. There is nothing that infuriates me more than a 76ers made basket and a transition basket the other way.
Yeah.
What are you doing? If I see that one time today, if I see an Embiid dunk or a layup by Maxey, whatever the case is, and a quick inbound from Brooklyn, and Nick Claxton is rim running down the other way, or anybody's rim running down the other way, and they get a layup or a dunk, I'm going to lose my mind. I don't care if the Sixers are up by 15. That shit should never ever happen. That's all focus. That's all that is. This comment here, I slightly disagree. Scotty and I, bro, we gave our series projections yesterday on the morning show on the Faithful Fanatics. I'm not giving Brooklyn any benefit of the doubt. I don't give them a game. I don't think they have the talent. I don't think they have the star power. I think that the 76ers have the 3 best players on the floor at all times. And Tobias Harris has the ability to make that 4 of the best players at all times, depending what Tobias Harris you get. I'm not giving Brooklyn a game. I think they could be pesky within the game, but I think you see at least 2 blowouts by the Sixers in the first floor. One of them's a competitive game, and one of them's a competitive game up until like the fourth quarter. I don't know, man. Maybe I am too confident in this series. I don't see how Brooklyn competes for more than one game.
How many games did we get the Raptors out of there in last season?
5.
5.
We were 3-0 on them, and they won game 4, right? I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it was 5 games, then I would say, maybe it might end up because like that's what I picked it in 5. What I would say is, I agree with Rio's comment here. I shouldn't say I agree with it. I just think that this might be the Nets' best chance to punch, right? like to give
Sure,
a punt.
it's
This
always the
game and game
underdog, yeah.
3 when you go back to Brooklyn, I think are their best opportunities to steal one game. That being said, I don't see the Nets winning today. I'd be very disappointed in the Sixers if they come out and lose game 1 like this. Like I said, I want to see them come out and rejoice that the playoffs are here. Like, you should be excited for this.
Here is why. I told you this the other day. If you think back throughout the Joel Embiid era in the postseason, I can only remember the Sixers winning 2 game 1s. Last year against Toronto and the first time in the playoffs in however many years against the Miami Heat with Rocco and Dario Saric. Those are the only game 1s I remember them winning, right? They lost game 1 to Brooklyn at the Wells Fargo Center the Jimmy year, right? My point is, I think they're different. I think they've been different, and they've had the best record since the beginning of December, since coming back from injury with James Harden and Joel Embiid and all of them. And if you are different, you don't come out and look lackadaisical and look sloppy and drop game 1 to an inferior opponent in the Brooklyn Nets with no stars. There's not one singular star, Scotty. Mikal Bridges is a very nice and good player. And the way he's taken his game offensively to another level since the trade deadline has been very cool to see. I wish he was in a Sixers uniform. He's not a star.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Mikal Bridges is better than Tyrese Maxey?
No. Offensively, as a two-way player, sure. But offensively, no.
It's tough for me. It's tough because he's such a it's hard for me to get past my want of that style player for the Sixers.
I agree. I think
it's hard for me to get past it. But you got to imagine he's averaging 26 points, but if Maxey was on a team where he gets to be the number 1, how many points is Maxey averaging?
Let me say this.
Shots every night?
I guess it's not fair to allude to this when you're talking about putting a cap on a player's talent level and with their exposure, right? Because in Phoenix, he wasn't able to do what he could do, but it's like we talked about this the other day. Would he still be a perfect fit as a 3-and-D guy here like he was in Phoenix? Absolutely. He'd be incredible. He would never be doing here what he's doing in Brooklyn right now. Look at different levels of players, but Isaiah Joe, everybody freaks out about Isaiah Joe in Oklahoma City. Isaiah Joe was never going to do that here. Whether Doc gave him minutes or not, even if he played off the bench, he was never going to be unleashed and had that long of a leash because the Sixers are trying to compete for a championship, and OKC and Brooklyn with Mikal Bridges, they have free reign to go be themselves because they're not really playing for anything.
Yeah. So, I agree with you. It was just a curious question.
Yeah.
You know, Bridges or Maxey, because I think they're in the same bucket right now as far as
let me give some more credit to him. As a two-way player right now, Mikal Bridges might be more complete. But I would take Tyrese Maxey's offensive bag over him. And obviously, when you think of the ceiling as a Sixers fan for Tyrese Maxey, I don't think Mikal Bridges is better than Tyrese Maxey in that point. So as a two-way player right now, today, he's more complete than a Tyrese Maxey is. But in terms of potential and in terms of what I'm going to get offensively, I would take Maxey right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I was just curious what you thought. Hey, Mikal Bridges is an interesting player, honestly. And it sucks that he came through the Philadelphia building. I don't know. I feel like that's just going to be a recurring topic throughout this series because he's going to do well just by nature. He's going to get a bunch of shots, so he's going to get points and buckets. But no, it's an interesting thought, man. I saw the video from him. He did an interview. I think it was who was he with? I can't remember.
On a podcast. He was not pleased that about the way draft night played out.
Yeah, he said I was pissed off when I got traded. And he said he was pissed off for a couple of days, so it shows you how much he wanted to be here. But nonetheless, man, I'm with you. I think you look at this Sixers team, the difference between the Raptors and the Nets, and I think it's a good comparison because you look at the forwards, they have a ton of wings, just like the Raptors did. They have a bunch of mid-sized players when it comes to the NBA standards. But I think the difference is you have a way more polished Pascal Siakam on that team. Yeah. you have a Fred
Fred
VanVleet that
who's
is
won a
way more
championship.
polished. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Mikal Bridges could get to Pascal Siakam potentially, like maybe one day, but Pascal Siakam's won an NBA championship. He's a lot more polished. To be fair to Nets, they do have the playoff experience. We discussed that already, but I don't know,
Individually,
man. We're
they have
going
the
to
playoff
see
experience.
what it looks like today. It's hard to know. Like, are the Sixers just
Yeah.
going to come out and blow them out? Is it going to be a tight game?
It's a weird series, man. You know why? Because as a fan and wanting, you know, when you're looking at seeding and matchups, obviously in the first round, you would love to get the easiest road. And that feels like the Brooklyn Nets when you look beyond them, right? When you talk about Miami Heat being the 18, when you talk about the Atlanta Hawks being the 7, who obviously had a very weird season, but in terms of star power with a guy like Trae Young who can take over a game and Bogdanovich and all those guys who, you know, had made the Eastern Conference run together a couple years ago. Like the Nets had the least star power. Yeah, so it's like the easiest, it's the best matchup for the Sixers in that case, but it definitely comes with the least amount of juice by far. So that's why I'm in this weird mode of, all right, 12:50, 12:45 this afternoon. I'm sure, you know, pregame comes on. I'll be getting ready for it, but I'm in the same boat as you. It's not only just the fact that it's Boston next, potentially, most likely. It's the fact that, like, it's not even like the Heat or the Raptors or the Hawks or the Knicks right now. It's Brooklyn.
It's like we only, you know what it is? We only have something to lose.
Absolutely, for sure.
We don't have like anything to prove here. Like if we beat them, we're supposed to do that. If we sweep them, we're supposed to do that. But if we lose 1 or 2 games,
or hell, go to 6 or 7.
Yeah,
or if it goes to 6 or 7, there's a problem in there in itself, right? Yeah. So completely agree with you, man. Let's get Rio and everybody else these best bets for the day.
Yes, sir.
Here are your 76ers, Brooklyn Nets, best bets for the afternoon. 2 are coming at you with plus juice. 1, you have to eat it a little bit, but let's start the top, and we're going to go with the Anthony Melton over 8.5 points at plus 105 on DraftKings Sportsbook the last time I checked it out. D-Melt is so interesting, man. We had a conversation with who do you trust more, him or Tobias, and he's way more comfortable off the bench in that role today. Yeah. I think he's going to have the ball in his hands a little bit more off the bench today. He plays better at home. Yeah, he's just a guy, again, against the Brooklyn Nets team, which we don't know how this game's going to play out. And for all we know, Joel might have to score 40. I don't know. But in theory, this should be a game where your bench should take the load and pressure off of your stars because you're up by double digits in the second half and everything like that. So D'Anthony Melton for 9 points, which isn't a lot to ask anyway.
It's not.
So
2 threes, 2 buckets, and boom,
right,
you have 10
exactly.
points. Like, come on.
D'Anthony Melton for over 8.5 points at plus money. Next at plus juice, Tyrese Maxey over 2.5 threes at plus 100 on DraftKings. The last time I checked that out as well. I mean, this just feels like it has to, right? This just feels the kid. If he continues to get his looks that he was getting in the regular season, he's shooting 7 or 8 of them every night. So Tyrese Maxey and at a 40% clip every night. So Tyrese Maxey, go ahead.
If I had like a button that I could smash right now and it would shoot like confetti over the screen, like I would do that right now because I think that Maxey, if I could pick one guy today that I think is gonna,
it's him.
Semi go off, I think it's gonna be Maxey at home today. That's just my gut feeling today.
No, I love it, man. And again, it's just, I don't know. It's one of those weird things that you can kind of sense. He does it at home a ton, gets the crowd into it with a deep 3. So Tyrese Maxey for 3 plus 3s today. And then lastly, James Harden. He was an interesting conversation as we were putting these bets together because his points are very intriguing today. Scotty, you read me the numbers in the 3 games played against Brooklyn this year. He's averaging over 26 per. So I think his over-under is 19.5 or 20.5 right now. So I do like that, but
this is safe.
He's Mr. Assist, right? I mean, he is that guy. He is the conductor for this train, for this offense. James Harden for over 9.5 assists, which you're actually getting a decent number here because
it's never at 9.5.
No, in large part throughout the regular season, it was around 10.5. So you needed 11 or 12 every time.
Yeah.
This time you just need that double digit today. I didn't look at it, but if his assists are at 9.5 and you just need the 10, I wonder what a double-double number odds look like for him because, you know, he's going to get 10 points. So that would be interesting. I'm assuming it's going to be worse. I'm assuming it's going to be like minus 180 or minus 200 or something.
Yeah.
But those are your best bets for game one of round one of the NBA playoffs for the 76ers versus Brooklyn Nets matchup. Go lock those in as we got a couple hours before tip starts. You find those odds yet?
You picked up the wrong tab, but yeah,
Awesome.
found them.
Gotta respect it.
All right. So okay, yeah, you're right. It's actually minus 140 for a double. So
that's not that's not it's
not bad.
Either way, you might as well just take the assist.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's not horrible.
Embiid double minus 240.
Yeah.
Nick Claxton double is interesting. I'm not going to lay that at all, but that's interesting. It's plus 150, and I think
let me ask you a question, kind of off of our topic list here, but
yeah,
we talk about betting a lot, and specifically, we put together these best bets. Same game parlays are always a ton of fun, but we always have a conversation of how like these bets are skewing your vision of the game, of a Sixers game, because whether they're playing the Orlando Magic or they're playing the Milwaukee Bucks in the regular season and they're up by 20 or up by 10 in the fourth quarter, and you should be enjoying it as a fan, you have $20 or $50 and on the line, and you need another Tobias Harris 3 in the fourth quarter. And all you're focusing on is on that and not the game itself. He doesn't get it, and you're not even that happy. So now it's like even another step forward with the playoffs on the line. Each game means so much. Do I really want to risk ruining my view of the game because I need this player prop or I need this to happen?
No, it's a great question, man. It's like the thing I go back and forth in my head all the time, and it's something we discussed earlier in the season. Once we would get to the playoffs, and I'll say it this way: playing the Brooklyn Nets is forcing us to go towards player props.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the spread's just too out of hand.
Once we get to the Celtics, I'll smash the Sixers money line in certain instances. I'll smash the Sixers to cover the spread, right? But against the Nets, it's not worth it right now. So I think that's part of it. But to your point, I told myself I was going to stay away from player props. I told myself, maybe I'll do Embiid 30 plus.
Right. But now he's 33.5, like
33.5 against the Nets, and then you got a 9-point spread that they're looking at it on the books. So it's like they get up by 10 plus. Does Embiid play?
All right, let me throw this to you. I know they're well coached. They've been better defensively over the stretch. It is playoff basketball, but normally that comes more into play in the second round, not with this type of matchup. If you want to put a bet in for the Sixers that we didn't look at for best bets, I don't know why. Team total is set at 111.5.
I would take that.
Like, is that the bet I'm going to? Because now you just need to root for the Sixers to score.
No, that makes a ton of sense, man. I know the Nets are 10th in the league in opponents' points per game, but even that number is at 112.5. So they give up that average throughout the season. I think the Sixers. I mean, I have them scoring over that today for sure. So I don't look at this as like a defensive knockout, drag them out game. Like
redo the best bets. I'm just kidding. I'm throwing another play out there. Sixers team total. I'm definitely throwing out there. I'll read the parlay I sent you as well.
Yeah,
it's almost as safe can get. It is Tyrese Maxey for 15 plus points, James Harden for 15 plus points, Joel Embiid for 25 plus points, and Tobias Harris for 1 3-pointer made. One 3-pointer made. It's plus 130.
Yeah.
If that doesn't hit, like there's a problem, right? But again, do I even want to lay that? If the Sixers are up by 20 and Doc's bringing the bench in, but I need a Tobias 3, I'm not going to be happy.
I know, man. It's tough. I'm almost inclined to lay that Maxey threes. I'm like considering like smashing that like overall. But I was thinking something similar around what you just listed off there. 25 points for Embiid, because 25 is like that safe mark for me, right? Like because 30 generally against
play a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
He could, even if
it's
have
20 in the first half.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, man. I think we'll have a better feel after this game one. I think that's what we need to see.
Yeah.
See how this goes. See if the Sixers, do they blow them out? Is it a close contested game? Does the game play out kind of the way that we envisioned it to play out, right? Or do the Nets play a completely different way than we imagined? So I think we'll have a better idea after this game. But I would say our props that we've given out today, these are easy money. I mean, Tyrese Maxey, for instance, against the Nets, he's shooting 46.9% from the three-point line against the Nets in the regular season. So, like, the shots are there, right? They're going to have to double team Joel Embiid, which is going to give him open looks. Harden, we know the 9.5 assists. He averaged 11 assists on the season. He led the league in assists. He's going to have assists in this game.
His
to
points
Embiid,
he averaged
Maxey.
over.
Yeah, the points. I mean, all of it. And then Melton, like we discussed, I think he comes in off the bench and gives us a nice punch today. This is the series, as we discussed. Tobias, Melton, Maxey, even get your asses on track, get ready, and make sure you're playing as confident as possible.
This is the tune-up. This is the tune-up series for Boston and Milwaukee. Like that's what this is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can view it that way.
Yeah,
the Sixers locker room can't view it that way.
Absolutely.
Scotty, with that being said, let's get into our stars of the game and our game predictions for game one today. We are 2 hours away from tip against the Brooklyn Nets. Who is your player of the game for the 76ers, and do they come away with a win this afternoon?
Yes, sir. So I am going with Tyrese Maxey, as I mentioned earlier. I think Maxey has a bit of a day today. Now, obviously, I think Embiid, Harden, they'll get like decent numbers today, but I think Maxey is the guy that we see get the open looks. They have to help off of Maxey, give him some open looks. I have him hitting the 3+ threes today, anywhere from 18 to 20 points. And the main thing is confidence. I want to see him out there having fun today at the Wells Fargo Center. So I think if you get those numbers, they don't truly matter. It's all about how he's flowing, how he's playing. But those are my my benchmarks there. And then I'm going with the Sixers win, and I'm gonna lay them to cover as well. I shouldn't say lay. I'm not laying the spread. Don't let me make that clear. I'm picking them to cover.
Right.
My score prediction here. So I have the Sixers winning 119 to 105. They end up winning by double digits. Take care of business at home.
Smash that team total.
Smash that team total. I think it could play out close through the first three quarters, and then early fourth, late third, they kind of take control of the game and pull away. But we're gonna get a nice. We'll see what happens today, right?
Well, it's a damn shame, man, because I texted you earlier about the DraftKings profit boost or the early payout promotion that they're running, and it is the 10-point early payout. So bet on a team's money line today for the playoffs. They get up by 10 plus at any point, you win automatically, and they pay you out early. So I remember if you go back to the NFL season, what was that max? That max was like $250, right?
Yeah.
So I was literally, the Sixers are like minus 325 on the money line, whatever they are. I was literally contemplating like throwing the full max on it because I think they're going to win. So that's my prediction. The Sixers win the game, money line hits. Or regardless, I think at some point in time they get up by at least 10 in this game, right? Whether they blow that lead back down, I don't know, but I think they get up to it. It's capped at $25.
Yeah.
What the hell? Yeah. Basically, I might as well just throw it on the Brooklyn Nets and hope that the Nets get up by 10 at some point. Like, are you kidding me? Whatever.
Oh my God.
Listen, I'm going with the Sixers win. I think they come out and make a statement today that this is different than previous years. They are not messing around. The regular season is beyond us. Joel's winning the MVP. And here's my player of the game. There's so much talk and discussion around his health and his legacy and regular season James versus postseason James. And I agree with your point in a sense that, you're going to get solid numbers out of those two regardless. And I know we're going to need it more so against Boston in game one than we are against, Brooklyn in game one, knock on wood. I think James Harden comes out and gives you a statement today that my calf, my Achilles, my leg, I'm fine. I'm different than last year's postseason run. I'm healthy this postseason run, and we're making a legitimate run at it this year. He already came out and said, now whether, the Sixers are giving teams bulletin board material, Harden came out and in an interview or a podcast, and they had talked about his postseason and stuff like that. And He said, come talk to me when I win a championship this year. So I love the confidence. You're probably giving other teams some material. I don't really care. I need that James Harden today because at the end of the day, he's a top 75 player in NBA history. He's one of the greatest scorers of our generation and of all time for that matter. And I think you get that. So while we didn't put it in the best bet slip, I have a very weird feeling in the next hour and a half, I'm throwing in James Harden's points total at some point on DraftKings, man. So Sixers win. Maxey and Harden, your two standout stars. Your best bets are already listed, as well as take the team total over a 111.5 for the Sixers today. Guys, that is going to do it for this Game 1 DSM pregame live Sixers Nets preview here exclusively on the DSM Media YouTube channel. So like I said before, if you're new to the channel, check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Hit that follow button first and foremost. We greatly appreciate it. Check out the link tree. It's in our bio. Take you to every platform we're available on: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that good stuff. But like I said, specifically, turn on notifications, smash that subscribe button, and come hang out with us on each and every one of our DSM pregame lives and any other shows we run through DSM Media. Have a great rest of your day, your weekend, and go Sixers.
Fucking go Sixers. Yes, Andre.
And Philadelphia has it.